Last but not least is James.
Hello, Helen.
Hi.
I raised my hand with I would call it a somewhat impersonal question, and sitting here since I raised my hand, this attitude came up that that's not good enough. Why are you interested in this question? And then this nervousness started to build in my body, and um, then I heard you say to Saima that maybe you haven't realized there are no other beatings, and the nervousness started to subside.
How many beings are on this Zoom meeting? And right now, you're only talking to yourself, right? Using these two bodies to have a conversation with yourself.
Right?
And that's totally different, right? It's totally different. And maybe, whatever it is that the question originally was, maybe it's still there, maybe it's not. But what is it like if you don't judge yourself for whatever the question is?
Yeah, I don't feel judgment. The nervousness was more about being personal and being speaking about something more deeper in myself, I
Mhm.
think. So the impersonal question was um, a couple times in Satsang, you've referred to making a decision to take a stand, to live as the, the one self. And so I wanted to ask if you could elaborate on that decision and how it came about and how it manifested in your life.
Um, through absolute sheer desperation, jealousy, anger, shame, a whole lot of fear, a whole, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years of trying to fix the problems of an imaginary self that were just endless. And I seen that the more I tried to fix that, the more, and they were all awakening problems. They were all spiritual problems by this point. The worse everything got in my outer world, it became abundantly clear that trying to get rid of someone who doesn't exist was not working. And I'm laughing now, but I was, crying and beseeching anyone that would listen for help. And I finally one day came to this understanding that nothing is going to change for me until I actually be myself. I was waiting to be myself until everything changed. Like when my bank account is how it's supposed to be, when my relationships are the right way around again, not upside down, when I'm feeling peace and joy all the time, when the cat likes me, you know, when I can pay my bills, when the landlord is nice to me, then and only then will I stand as the self. That will be the evidence out there. And we all have our own list of that, right? When everything looks this certain way, then and only then will I know I am the self. I can stand that as that then, the infinite self. It became abundantly clear that that was never going to work, ever, because outside and inside are the same. If I'm starting from the idea that I'm not already free, my outer world has to keep screaming back at me that reflection. Still more work to do, still more work to do. So finally, in desperation, I just, okay, I'm not going to let anything phenomenal define who I think I am. Even if my whole life goes up in flames, which it pretty much was at that point, I'm going to just not let anything define who I am other than my own knowing. I'd had some little seeings and self-inquiry and, seeing that I'm not really a person. And I just couldn't wait anymore for awakening to fix my life. I couldn't. I'd had to just, if I'm the self now, then I'm the self, no matter what's going on phenomenally. And finally, it just began to turn around. I mean, everything in my life was backwards. My life was a train wreck. And I felt totally embarrassed to even admit to anyone. I was telling everyone at retreat in Spain, when decided to make this stand, I was so embarrassed because my life was so, I didn't tell anyone. I told the cat and I wrote it in my journal. I'm going to stand as a self. That was the only thing I could admit because I was too embarrassed. Who on earth do I think I am to make this decision? But it just arose inside. I just could not keep trying to fix these. You know how it goes, right? And there was this suddenly this fire that was just getting hotter and hotter inside. Like this is not working. I have to find another way. And finally, there was this thought one day of what if all this never changes? What if I take my last breath in this body and it still hasn't all righted itself? Am I going to leave this body and have the death experience again and have to start all over again? Game over, reset. And I just couldn't stand the thought of that. Can you feel it inside? It's like now I have to. Now I'm gonna, whatever happens, I'm gonna be as strong as I can in that conviction. And life tested me with a few things, um, threw a few, that's hard to say, curveballs at me. But something inside was suddenly using that. No, I'm even more determined. Everything that came at me, but it was fuel for this fire inside. And everything just started to turn around from there, slowly at first. But I didn't care finally about my outer circumstances because finally I felt authentic. I was being myself and I had a sense of self-esteem that began to build again, slowly at first. But suddenly there was this confidence coming back again. And then tell anyone that will listen that don't wait for life to change before you say who you are. It's true now. Whether you admit it now or in 1,000 years in a different body, it's still going to be true. You can never have the peace, love, and joy and the abundance that we want while we're starting from the idea that it's, still got some work to do before I'm free. You can see it, right? They're caught in that loop. It's going to go on forever like that.
Well, I feel it differently for myself, and I don't feel I don't feel that there are problems in
Not
my life.
outside, maybe inside.
Well, yes, it not, of course I wouldn't admit it's a problem, but that's where I get to the personal behind the question of um, wishing wishing for more, wishing to be more um, to be deeper in the understanding and to be more reliable in it.
What if
But yeah,
what if you can't achieve that? What if instead you just decide to focus more on that which is already deeply, deeply free?
Yeah, I think I heard that in your response earlier today.
Because these seem like noble things to quest towards. I'd like to be deeper in this. But eventually, even that smells a little bit of separation, right? It's like, I don't know if I can really ever achieve that if I'm already completely free.
Right.
That's what's just starting to arise now inside, right? Some sense of I can keep following this, or I can actually just go deeply to the root of what I already am.
Even that sounds like
A little bit too much work.
right. Yes. Right.
Yeah, it's just the best words I can put to it right now, but you get a sense of it, yeah.
Right.
And then the mind and body just keep deepening on their own. This truth that you already are just is able to express itself more and more each day, a little bit more through the body and mind and through your life as your life then. But it's just something else that's happening. It's not something you're working towards. You're just watching it unfold.
Hmm. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.